I'm Judy Shaw for NYSE Floor Talk. Joining me today is Naomi Allen. She is the co-founder and CEO at Brightline. Naomi, it's great to see you. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Judy.
Now, a quick note to our viewers, this interview is for informational purposes only. The NYSE doesn't recommend any investments or investment strategies. All right, so Naomi, tell me about Brightline and the problem you're solving.
Thanks, Judy. So Brightline is the first national pediatric mental health solution that is serving the enterprise space. So Brightline has services for kids as young as a year and a half up to age 18, and their parents or caregivers. And part of what's unique about our model is we have provided a virtual first accessible high quality care solution through health plans, so through insurance, in order to serve families nationally. So it's really exciting, as you can imagine, solving this pretty major problem right now in the midst of a youth mental health crisis during a global pandemic.
All right, so Naomi, tell me what's been going on at Brightline in terms of recent announcements and what has your team been working on?
Yeah, thank you. Well, we recently announced our Series C funding led by KKR. So we raised $105 million on top of the almost $100 million we'd raised in previous funding. And really that's going towards growth of our innovation model, our care delivery, new programs. So for example, just this quarter, we launched the first national program for early intervention support for kids that either have early signs of autism or maybe on the autism spectrum. So we rolled out this quarter a national program because during the pandemic in particular, kids with autism or early signs of autism really didn't have many places to go for support. And we know that early recognition and intervention is one of the key drivers for downstream helping families with autism. We also have increased a lot of our work around youth mental health, specifically for youth that may have increased risk coming out of COVID. We know, for example, that BIPOC youth have a much greater incidence right now of anxiety, depression, and self-harm, as well as youth that are exploring their gender and sexual orientation. So lots of new programming coming out on top of just our national expansion with more health plans and more employer customers.
All right, now talk to me about your employer and health plan partners. Why do companies choose to partner with you?
Yeah, thanks. So first of all, I'll say really exciting growth this year. So we're going from having 24 million health plan lives that we had contracted with last year to doubling this year. So we expect to end the year with 50 million health plan lives as part of the Brightline network. And what we're seeing is both health plans and employers are recognizing, I think, frankly, for the first time, that that company performance is inextricably tied to how the workforce is doing. And it's no surprise that we are seeing the great resignation that happened over the last year coinciding with the youth mental health crisis. And what we know to be true is that if the children of employees are not doing well, then employee productivity is much lower. Employees have a much greater likelihood of leaving the workforce. And so what we're seeing is employers that are realizing for the first time that they have to really support their employees, but also support the families of their employees with respect to mental health. We ran a study, about a year ago. We asked a simple question of working parents. If you would prefer to have a benefit, would you prefer a mental health benefit for yourself or a mental health benefit for your children? And 75% of working parents said they would prefer a mental health benefit for their children because their ability to show up and be productive and do great work and focus is directly tied to how their children are doing.
All right, so now tell me, what are your plans for the future and your growth goals?
Thank you. Well, we're expanding nationally in terms of our health plan footprint. We're in contract right now with 5 health plans, but we have some large announcements coming out. Some of our existing health plan partners include Aetna, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Massachusetts. We also have a national footprint of employers that have purchased Brightline. So right now we have about 50 employers that we're in contract with, but we expect to double that number by end of year. So it's really around the growth of being able to deliver this high quality, scaled, nationally accessible footprint of services. And then the expansion of the services. I mentioned the autism service, the programs for LGBTQ and BIPOC youth, but that's really just the beginning. We have a number of other programs that we'll be delivering over the course of the next year as well.
Naomi, it's been really a pleasure to talk with you. Thank you for joining me on NYSE Floor Talk.
Thanks, Judy.